air temperature, 37 degrees track temperature. Latifi across the line, and he does go quicker than Albon, up into 16th place, pretty much matching Esteban Ocon and Sebastian Vettel's time. So that's interesting.
Second set of tyres for Latifi, but even so, there is track evolution here. It's going to get quicker. There's a lot of wind out there as well, which has been blowing little bits of debris and bits and bobs onto the circuit, and just takes a lap or two just to wipe that sheen off the racing line and find the grip.
Okay, Daniel, so that's actually P19, but
Gonna make
apparently it's a bit like the way you get
there's something that big
old Texas guy and all those cliches of corners around the
I can't tell you how hard it is when you're driving. In Melbourne, the sessions are very late, and the sun comes out into it's hard to find. And on the visor of all the drivers as they're turning into the corners.
So there's nobody on out laps ahead of you. You've got a completely clear track.
Last run when the tyres are going to be overheating.
Yeah, I can tell you it's hot, because that's exactly my view. I'm just looking towards the final corner, and it's like, ow, my eyes. Miller, a little bit of frustration from him. The team asked if he could come in and box, and they just got to him doing a lap. And pulled in and had to do weighbridge as well. So a little bit of annoyance that he was just slowed down in what was their preferred plan, although the man from Ferrari currently ran second spot. And both of them back out on the USAC.
I don't think will change for Leclerc, because we'll be to the next qualifying, and I imagine Sainz, Leclerc and Verstappen and Perez will pits at the moment. So minute 40 left on the clock. The final lap's about to come in. The order is that Sainz, Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton.
Got quite a split with the brakes.
Norris, Schumacher, Vettel, Ocon and Latifi, the 15 drivers through at the moment. Eliminated would be Tsunoda, Albon, Ricciardo, Magnussen and Zhou. But Tsunoda in 16th and is slower than his teammate Pierre Gasly. So
work to do in the tight field. The Mexico at the moment, not in 18th and struggling, has to put in a big lap here. I think everyone does, because the evolution of the challenge. Ricciardo's first sector is not magic on this lap either, and Norris is 11th in the other McLaren as well, which is, as a team, they're not performing that well. The other driver that's a surprise down there is Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, that's going really well in the Hazo, who's looking fairly safe up in 7th. Ocon's 14th and has to dig one out here.
40 seconds on the clock. Who's going to be the first to cross the line? I think it's going to be Tsunoda then. He is 16th position. Well, actually pulls a little bit ahead of him on the circuit now. Tsunoda's through the final sequence of corners, the left-hander of turn 19.
Schumacher's going to be in big trouble. He's 12th and he's not improving. He's aborted this final lap. He's going to get shuffled almost certainly out.
Through the final one comes Tsunoda on the power, 15 seconds to go. The Japanese driver crosses the line, goes up into 9th place. That's a solid lap that from the Alpha Tauri squad. So Schumacher looking in trouble in 14th. Ocon at the moment is in 15th. And Gasly has just jumped up into 8th position. Latifi flying through the corners. Checker flag is out. At the moment, Latifi, Albon, Ricciardo, Magnussen and Zhou would be eliminated, but they're all improving.
Williams is good in a first sector, but and Albon both can most of their rivals through that part of the lap. What can they do through the rest of it? They're going to be the last to come through.
Ocon only 14th, slower than Stroll and Ricciardo. That could be a challenging one for the Alpines. Magnussen jumps up into 13th place, so Ocon is 15th.
Last 2 tenths in turn 1. Car is up.
Sector.
Norris up into 8th place. Ricciardo is on the bubble and in big danger here. Ocon is out. Schumacher is out. Latifi probably will be out. What can Albon do and what can Zhou do?
Here comes Zhou across the line, and it is jumped up to 10th place for Zhou, ahead of Bottas. So Ricciardo is eliminated in Q1. Magnussen is knocked out too, because Albon goes up into 5th place. So Alex Albon up into the 15th position, I should say, sorry. But that's enough to see him through into the second part of qualifying. Magnussen 16th, out. Ricciardo 17th, out. 18th, and Ocon out. Schumacher in the Haas, out. Feet out in 20th place. So bad news for, well, Ricciardo, but we're kind of not used to that, but used to that. Ocon, bad one from Ocon. And Schumacher must have made his mistake right at the start of the lap.
Yeah, he blew it straight away, and Mick had done a good first run. We're going to get a replay now. That's the sound you can hear of Mick into turn 1.
Oh, huge spin, full spin for Schumacher, full 360.
Yeah,
He got on the power on the exit of turn 1.
He was wide into the corner. He'd carried too much speed in. Then he was wide. Then he caught some bumps that you wouldn't find on the apex, but carrying more speed around the outside of the apex just sent him into a full loop. And actually, drivers are lucky there wasn't a yellow flag, because he managed to do a full 360 pirouette and get going before anyone else had their lap scuppered. So Schumacher just taking himself out with that. Not good for his career prospects. 19th. Magnussen actually did a good job to be 16th, but was also shuffled out by Albon. And Ocon, really, the surprise there. He's looked all right through the weekend. He's been a bit hit and miss in qualifying recently, Esteban Ocon.
Yeah, and it's another one where Aston Martin looked really strong earlier on in the day, and then they're...
Okay, Daniel, so cars eliminated, we're 17.
Understood. Real.
That's good for Aston Martin, though. Both cars through into Q2.
Well, yeah.
Often there's one out in Q1. This time they're 11th and 14th, and both can have a view to getting through into Q3. The gaps are still so tight. 3/10 from Stroll would get him ahead of Zhou, who did a great job in 10th. In fact, 2/10 is the difference between all of that midfield pack, who would be 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, been out, and the top 10.
Ferrari 1 and 2, Sainz and Leclerc. Verstappen 3rd, Hamilton 4th, Perez 5th. Russell, Alonso, Norris, Gasly and Zhou the top 10. Vettel, Bottas, Tsunoda, Stroll, Albon the top 15. Eliminated, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Ocon, Schumacher and Latifi, Jenny Gow.
Yeah, and Schumacher already in the garage and out of car, having a few kind of slaps on the back from some of his team members. And I just wondered, Jolyon.
Okay, go in, go in. Can you keep? We missed it for 3/10.
Okay. Yeah, anyways, it was a bit messy. I mean, it wasn't really massive mistakes, just... Yeah.
Check everyone ahead of me's lap and see, but so far, no more deletions.
Hamilton got one deleted at turn 19. Didn't affect him though, but it knocked a couple of tenths off his time. Jenny, do carry on.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, Schumacher got out of the car and was consolated. That doesn't sound
Consoled?
right. Consoled. Thank you. I'm so sorry. By his team.
Consolationed.
And I just wonder, Jolyon, at a time like this when a driver is very much under pressure for their seat.
Okay, nice one, mate. That's us through. Well done. That's P15.
Yes, boys, yes, yes.
To just be the final nail in the coffin. I mean, it must be so tough. I can't believe the pressure that these guys are under when it comes to keeping their seats or trying to keep their seats. And you've got someone like Nico Hülkenberg, who's in his Aston Martin kit at the moment, walking around the paddock. Oh, it's just so pleasant.
Yeah, it's not good for Mick, obviously, because he wants to be there and he's 19th out of 20. You never know what's the final nail in the coffin and what's, he could pull out a points finish tomorrow and it might save his career. So you never know what's the final nail of his coffin. He will be kicking himself because actually he had the pace to get through, I think. His first run was good to be 12th and he needed to find a couple of tenths to be ahead of his teammate and get ahead of Alex Albon. There was a chance there for Mick, I think, to get through without that spin. Obviously he was trying to search for the final little bit. And in fact, he'd already run a couple of sets of tyres, hadn't he, to be there. So he was trying to find just a little bit more in the end and lost it. He'll be kicking himself for that. And he'll know the pressure and everything that's at stake.
So second part of qualifying will be getting underway in a few moments' time. Sainz and Leclerc, the two quickest, ahead of Max Verstappen by 0.6 of a second in the end, that lap from Carlos Sainz. So that was pretty big. We'll see what gets replicated in Q2 now as the wheels start to go on the Aston Martins as they get ready to head out.
Magnussen's still sitting in the car. He's 16th, but he is not getting out. Do you think there's one of those drivers out there that's just done a late improvement and is just thinking, don't look at my lap. Don't look at my lap.
Well, did Magnussen say check the other laps?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so Magnussen's engineers now on 2 times speed on F1 TV, going through all of the laps and the onboards.
They'll have a team of people that will be just quickly sifting through what's going on. But I mean, if you're doing that, you don't have a lot of faith in the stewards, do you?
I'll leave that one open-ended. Nearly time for the second part of qualifying. Hamilton got his time deleted, as I say, for track limits. He was 4th anyway, but he was a couple of tenths quicker on his second run. Interesting that but it was the same set of tyres for Hamilton, so he didn't use 2 sets. He just went out again. Green light open, green light on at the end of the pit lane, so the pit lane is open. And the battle to get into Q3 is going to be very, very interesting indeed. Lando Norris did another good lap in the McLaren. Suddenly he's up there in 8th place after McLaren had looked a little bit potentially off the pace. Jenny?
Yeah, I'm just trying. I mean, I don't carry the sporting regulations around with me all of the time, so I apologise. But I have tried to get some clarity on pole. So because Leclerc has a 10-place grid penalty, I believe if he was fastest in qualifying today, he would still go through the protocol and the whole being awarded the tyre, but he wouldn't get pole tomorrow. So he'd get the pole award, but then the person who starts on pole is the one who starts on pole. So It feels once again like
Jenny, I do have clarity on that from the FIA because I asked
this
that
is from the
question earlier.
FIA though.
Okay, so
So what's your clarity? Because it seems like it's more clear than mine.
No, that's clear, Jenny,
The
what you just
official
said.
pole position is the person who starts on pole, not the person. If it's so not if Leclerc qualifies fastest today, he is not the official pole position winner in the records.
Oh, I thought he was.
According to the FIA.
I thought they'd changed that. I thought they'd just changed that.
But maybe that's the unofficial poll. Is there an unofficial poll and an official poll?
I don't know, but the one that counts towards the pole trophy that we're now getting all exercised about, but we're not really exercised about at all.
It's poll trophy.
It's for the stats. That's what I live for the stats. Because I thought it after Michael Schumacher.
Well, according to the official
2012.
F1 communications boss for FIA, if Charles Leclerc qualifies on pole today, he will not be classified as the pole position winner at the 2022 US Grand Prix.
A sprint race.
It's not a sprint race, so let's
But if it was a sprint race, would he get?
Yeah, because the grid doesn't come does it?
But the only man to get pole isn't the sprint race. We decided that the only starts the race on Sunday in pole position. So we
Like a bit of a
clarified
mess,
that.
doesn't it?
No, but I thought we changed.
I thought
No.
it was changed. After the
Is the pole position?
But not the official poll for the trophy. So there's some sort of indiscretion there.
Yeah. I can't believe we found some kind of complicated loophole that doesn't quite make sense and cover all scenarios in the FIA sporting regulations.
We found the loophole that everyone's pouring through.
Okay, so cars leave the pit lane, Alex. Let's just back off a little bit if we can, just before the start of the laps, wherever you like. Let's just speed out some time.
Because I think pole position should be given to the person who qualifies fastest.
No,
And
that's a different
the penalties
thing.
should be irrelevant to who gets pole position in terms. You are the fastest qualifier, aren't you?
No.
If you get an engine-related grid penalty, that doesn't stop the fact that you were the qualifier.
Well,
does
maybe you got a grid penalty because you got a new engine in. You're taking advantage out of that.
it? Now that is a good point.
Pole is just the one that starts on pole. Ridiculous. There used to be aggregate qualifying back in the day. 2005 started sessions. The fastest qualifier might not have been on pole back then, but we didn't complain about it. It might have just had the best average across two.
You could have put 3 litres of fuel and qualified on pole and then just had to pit at the end of the first lap. Does that make you the fastest qualifier?
No, but if you start on pole, you start on pole.
11 minutes and 15 seconds. Everybody out on track now. But
Will be clear that the first car that was the time lap is going to be Vettel, who's in turn 15 at the moment.
Nice. They've done a really nice house outfit this weekend with lots of stars and spangles on it. But he's finally given up the hope that someone was going to get booted out of qualifying for track limits, and he's out.
yeah, I think it's It's everybody out on circuit now, including Carlos Sainz, who's just left the pit lane, enjoying going out last in this session. Carlos Sainz. Alex Albon is going to be the first driver to come through and set a representative lap time. He has gone out, Alex Albon, after making it through into the second part of qualifying. He's on a used set of tyres for this first run. In fact, it looks like most people are. Hamilton's out on a new set, as are Russell and Alonso, but that's it. Everybody else is going on a used set of tyres for this first run in the second part of qualifying. Across the line comes Alex Albon, and he does a 37.1, which is 2/10 slower than he managed in the first part of qualifying, as you would expect on a used set of tyres. Yuki Tsunoda coming through now in the AlphaTauri. He too 3/10 slower than he managed in the first part of quali, and he's fractionally slower than Alex Albon. Everybody else on their outlaps or at the moment, as I just Hamilton out on the used set of tyres. Hamilton, Russell, and Alonso. Interesting that have decision how to the rest of the
So, yeah, maximum for G5 with all the braking. They don't wake up.
look, I don't know.
It's different. It's something I understand. One year. to 1, much less edgy. I lose out in the low speed, and the high speed I gain, and turn 1.
So they've got issues with the braking on the AlphaTauri car. It was the same in Japan, where Gasly was also very unhappy about it, as was Tsunoda. They've actually done well as a team to get through Q1. They thought this circuit wouldn't be very good for them. And with Ricciardo struggling, Ocon struggling, and Schumacher spinning, it's opened the door for both AlphaTauris to get through. But Gasly's also, whilst Magnus has been sitting in the car waiting to hopefully get back in, Gasly's obviously been remonstrating with his team about the breakability of the car. They've been telling him something, he's gone out and he's proved that that doesn't work in one big smoky lockup at the start of Q2. He's not happy. He's been actually really disgruntled with that team for a while, with their strategy, with other things that has been happening. But now he's leaving, he's just airing his dirty laundry, isn't he?
Second part of qualifying, it was a Ferrari 1-2 in the first part, with Carlos ahead 8 minutes away from the Ferrari. Look like they're there or thereabouts. Let's have a temper drop. So in reality, it's going to be Verstappen versus Sainz position, unless Mercedes can pull something out of the and George Russell has just gone quickest. So we've got 7 minutes left in this second. Across the line comes Verstappen. He now goes 4/10 quicker than George Russell. Leclerc is coming to the final corner now at the Andretti. Hamilton goes into third place. Leclerc comes in and he goes fastest. A 35.246. It feels like so much time for Ferrari is the final corner, because coming into the final corner on our little like mini sectors, it doesn't look like Leclerc's going to go quicker. Out of the final corner, ping. He's up there just ahead of Verstappen by 0.05 of a second. How often has the gap been 500ths this weekend? I feel like all the time it's been 4 and 600ths. Sainz third, Russell fourth, Perez fifth, Hamilton, Alonso, Bottas, Joe and Norris the top 10. Those were used tyres for the top 3.
That's good pace, really good pace. Shows the track's improving all the time. Sebastian Vettel, has he gone over track limits? Exited turn 9, yes he has. And that time has been deleted for Vettel. The times are close, aren't they? For a circuit that's not short or medium in length, they are really close. Half a time.
I'm done. I'm Gasly now. I'm done. Get through these next 2 races and I'm off. That isn't true, by the way, everybody. 6 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Leclerc quickest, Verstappen second, Sainz third, Russell fourth, Perez fifth, Hamilton, Alonso, Bottas, the top 10. Eliminated at the moment would be Albon, Tsunoda and Stroll. Gasly has no lap after his lockup. Sebastian Vettel has no lap time after it was deleted.
The thing for Gasly, some of his points in the last races or the last year have been true on the strategy, and it's so many times he's come on, and because it's an AlphaTauri that's fighting for minor points, they're not obvious blunders like Ferrari have done fighting for race wins that people talk about. But Gasly, it's been right to be a little bit peeved at times.
What's the gap behind?
There's no fence behind.
To
the cut.
Hamilton?
Hamilton did a 35.9. You gave up about half a second in turn 11.
I'll be thinking, oh, he's a bit of a handful, isn't he? This driver that we thought was actually really nice and leading the team well.
Yeah.
And now they're thinking, is he going to be a bit of a handful in the team for next year? Fernando Alonso's got a big reputation now as being, on occasion, a disruptive force in a team because of some of his antics in previous teams at McLaren, and again with the McLaren Honda relationship. And other teams have looked at that. Red Bull historically have looked at that and thought, I don't know if we definitely want that in our team. So they haven't picked him.
Alonso going to Aston Martin next year. So, team ticked off for Alonso.
And you're absolutely right about the final corner. Just a little bit of corner analysis, and Leclerc is a tenth and a half faster than Verstappen in the final corner. Later on the brakes, better on the exit. Loads of lap time. Great observation.
Thank you. Verstappen was complaining yesterday in practice as well about grip in low-speed corners, and probably the third slowest corner on the track at turn 20 at the Andretti. 4 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Jenny, go.
Just a reminder, by the way, of penalties. So Zhou is +5. We also have +5 for Perez, +10 for Leclerc, and +5 for Alonso. So just bear that in mind when we get into the meaty part of qualifying. And also worth bearing in mind that this race has never been won from anywhere but the front row. So there we go.
Never. I hate those stats.
Why? Why?
So we need the hard outlap, work the tyres, and maintain the position to Norris behind.
From pole or second in the front row.
They're also stats that inevitably end up not being true because someone breaks them somewhere down the line.
And maybe that's exciting because maybe this weekend is the weekend.
Yeah,
and if you tell a racing driver those sorts of stats, to just go, I don't care about that.
But then it'll get broken at some point. But then the stat is still demoralising because then it's only once ever has it been won from outside the front row, which sounds worse.
It took a decade of racing at the Circuit of Americas for someone to win that didn't start on the front row. Who knew that stat was so gloomy? It makes this next 3 minutes of Q2 and 12 minutes of Q3 exhilarating because it will probably define who's going to be winning tomorrow.
And it gets touted as a but there's been lots of position changes, hasn't there? Now I think about it. Like Bottas, there was Hamilton hunting down Bottas a couple of years ago, and then there was Verstappen and Hamilton last.
So behind you, you've got Lance and then Norris on outlaps. Gasly's 10's ahead. He's got a 5-second motor, and Snow's got a big gap, so should be from traffic, and we'll be fine for outlap traffic at the end of our time lap.
Good races. A lot of overtakes.
Hopefully we get a good race tomorrow. Gets underway a lot earlier than this qualifying session. I think 2 o'clock in the afternoon the race begins here in Austin. So that is 8 o'clock in the UK. 2 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock. We're on BBC Radio 5 Live to listen to that from 1:45 following the conclusion of 6:06, or you can listen here on the BBC Sport website or the Formula 1 app or Sirius XM or Amazon AMP, or come into the commentary booth and watch it live. Not the Australian's not even allowed in the media centre here, is he? They keep.
So behind you, you've got Lance, and then
not pretty. So
I'm at the end of my tether. I'm at the end of my tether. There's going to be some big changes around.
But there's another rule anomaly there, because he's not in the media centre, but he has been eating in the media cafe and sitting outside it.
He's made this point to the people on the door a lot. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I've put him in a bad mood now. Go on, tell us about...
Now I'm reminded about it.
Tell us about Gasly's lap.
Here comes Pierre Gasly. High speed. A lift and then a brake through 4 and turn 5. Arcing through 6 and 7. The double right. Then into the final left, right and left of the first sector. Got to be careful on turn 9 track limits, and Gasly's good through there. Vettel wasn't earlier on, and it's a personal best in the first sector for Gasly. All cars out on track apart from the Ferraris and Sergio Perez.
Onto the little short shift for Gasly as he comes out onto the back straight. His first sector is reasonable, slower than Norris, slower than Tsunoda, slower than Stroll, so actually only quicker.
Richard John, Hamilton behind will be pushing. Hamilton behind will be pushing. Watch your mirrors.
Well, it's a big braking corner, isn't it? Turn 12, the biggest stop on the circuit, and he missed his apex in too deep. And now he's scrabbling for some grip through the following 13, 14, and now 15. The tight left-hander. 3 more corners to go. The quadruple right-hander and 2 lefts.
Albon has jumped up to 8th, so he's the first across the line, jumps up into 8th on a 36.3, and the other lap times are about to come in. Tsunoda goes slower than Alex Albon. Next across the line with the checker flag out is going to be Gasly. Gasly goes slower than Tsunoda and Albon. Vettel is going to be next through. He's improving. Tsunoda could be in a bit of danger. I think Gasly's in quite a lot of danger, although Tsunoda's just had his lap time deleted, I think. Up goes into 9th place Sebastian Vettel. Bottas is improving, Zhou's improving, Norris improving, and Stroll improving too.
Stroll's a great lap. Up he goes to 7th place. Lance Stroll could be booking himself into Q3. Vettel's only 10th and behind him and knocked out by Norris.
So Norris up into 9th. Albon is on the bubble in 10th position. Vettel and Gasly eliminate the 2 Alfa Romeos left to come through. So Norris and are both under a bit of pressure. Alonso, Stroll, Hamilton and above are going to be through. Here comes Norris, it's 10th place. He just pushes Albon out, but he might not be going through, depends doing. As he comes into the left-hander of turn 19 now, Joe. Fernando Alonso improves to jump up into 7th position, but it's going to be Zhou or Norris that will be eliminated. Here comes Zhou Guanyu, Norris is out. Both Alfa Romeos make it through at the part of the season where they really need to show a turn of speed. They've managed to show a turn.
Okay, you're safe, mate. That's an excellent lap. We knew that was in there. Well done.
Yeah, I know you like that one, Benny boy.
Hey, that was tidy, mate. You're ahead of Alonso. P7 for now. You're safe. It's a good job, mate.
Ahead of Norris by just 0.02 of a second. That was the defining gap. And then Zhou has done a brilliant job, both parts of this qualifying session. Through. Stroll through as well.
For Zhou Guanyu. Turn 12, so the exit of the hairpin left-hander, and I think Zhou is here and will be back in to the 3rd part of qualifying. Yes, there it goes. To 14th place after a really good lap, but it will be Norris that advances through to the final part of qualifying along Perez, Hamilton, Sainz, Verstappen. Just as we were saying, what
Turn 111. Second in a row.
As well, Zhou missed a bit earlier on, so he's been able to put that lap in. It was a great effort, but he did it by going over the edge of the track, and thus it does not stand.
Pierre Gasly eliminated then in 13th in the end, 15th for Zhou, and 15th for Yuki Tsunoda. Gasly had another lock up into turn 1, and
that was really lousy. It was a mile away.
Here we go. This will be fun.
We're having this problem. Turn 111. Second weekend in a row.
Yeah, again, he's talking about the brakes. He missed the apex at 11 on his lap. It was a really
And she said, go on, get done. And asking Alex, who's a lovely red, after he went to Thailand, actually, he did that this year. But now he's gone blonde. He'll clearly have more fun.
So, in the commentary box, I'm sitting alongside a man who's also, I think you've copied...
How are you bringing this up?
I think you've copied...
Not good radio. It's not good radio. Right, we're going to be...
He's playing it down. He's been playing it down all week, but everyone's just it. I think you've caught Albon mania with the blonde highlights.
I've had a lot of people in the paddock asking if I've had my tips done.
Have you?
No.
Well, Lewis Hamilton asked Alex Albon in Thursday if he was blonde all over.
Yeah,
and he didn't get the joke, Alex. Not immediately, anyway.
The BBC's chief F1 writer, Andrew Benson, who, when he gets back from Austin, will be receiving his P45 with comments like that on the radio. But we will be getting underway with the final hardcore. I haven't highlighted my hair. If I had highlighted my hair, I wouldn't necessarily be ashamed of it, but I'm just saying I have not. What I've done is I've stopped using product, and so the product gives it a bit of a wet look, and so that makes it look darker. So because I've stopped that, and I've been in the sun a lot this summer, that's why it looks a bit blonder. I'm not going Jacques Villeneuve on us. Well, Sam Bird actually. Sam Bird, he's had some terrible hair.
Not really something to comment on, is it?
No, but you've been doing your best.
Pierre Gasly was just weighing with.
I give it. This one, but yeah, this one.
And then they trundle off to the media. But actually, just looking at it. So on one side there's a TV screen, on the other side there's a timing screen, and he's just standing there looking at the screen with his helmet on, shaking his head. There's so much pent-up anger in Gasly at the moment when it comes to on-track shenanigans. He's just so unhappy. I had a really good chat with him yesterday. We were talking about findings from the FIA about what happened to Suzuka. He had my phone, he was scrolling through everything. He's a good guy. Really nice guy, but put him in that car, he's an angry young man.
The determination that he still has. Coming into race 19 of a 22 race, month out, he's fighting nothing anymore. This team, he's off to Alpine, he's won a race, he's got them on the podium, and it's nice to see that he cares this much about still doing. The question is it wise to do it so publicly, to be sticking his team?
You know, the main reason why a couple of people that definitely won't tolerate that sort of behaviour when it goes up next year.
And there's all question marks. It's a French team with two French drivers, Ocon and Gasly, who have had an upper relationship in their career. When Gasly was being rumoured in the summer of a relationship, two aged Frenchmen who came through the ranks there and didn't always get on. And it's going to be, it could be a tricky management scenario for Alpine.
But they've scenarios over the last year. So what makes you think they'll struggle next year? It's going to be tough. I'm so interested to see how. I think got powder keggy. That team, that ship, those two drivers next year. Very interested to see what occurs.
On paper, for the team, what they could have had. Yes, no. So Gasly's winner. He's been a decent leader at AlphaTauri. It's just got the potential to go away. And Ocon has been good with Alpine. He's been good with, and the team. But it was quite far in his first stint with Racing Point.
Yeah, they didn't after Hungary. Right. I never did a think up at any point during this qualifying session. Really 10 minutes of 20, 19, 18, 7 seconds left. Final part of qualifying. Out on circuit bar Stroll, and everybody on new tyres bar along Norris. Jenny.
Wind's picked up again as well. A crosswind as you come down the straight, just rippling the flag quite violently. cover as well. So that glare coming around the final corner seems for the moment.
Yeah. 7 meters per second the wind. It was pretty gusty earlier at 5 and the huge stars and stripes at the top of turn 1 is very much flying. It's a really cool flag.
E-bow 7, E-bow 7. Just wake up the brakes into 12.
Big flag.
Yeah.
Must be very light.
Yeah, I don't know. There's also the Texas flag out there, isn't there? That you can see. A flag's light.
Norris must be to fly that well.
Norris is chucking this McLaren around. Really enjoying watching him come through the S's and then up through the left-hander of turn 9, dropping down the hill towards turn 11 that'll take him out onto the back straight. Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton, Perez on outlaps. Verstappen's just come through sector 1 and he's a bit slower than Bottas, even though he's on a new set of tyres. So that's an interesting one for Max Verstappen. As down the back straight. And Leclerc now starts at Russell.
Norris, for someone that's been really on the edge of rear grip the whole way through, is actually slow through the first sector. He's within Verstappen, so maybe he's more volume of Verstappen's pace through the first part of the lap. He's picking now through the middle sector, Max Verstappen. Leclerc just starting a little quicker than Verstappen in the first sector. Comes through now and he's 3/10 up.
Okay, so good first sector then for Charles Leclerc. Bottas across the line to do a 1 minute 37, but he is on a used set of tyres, Valtteri Bottas, so I expect him to go quicker on his second run. Here comes Norris. He comes through to do a 36.5. The same is true of Norris with regards to tyres. Then Alonso goes through to do a 36.1, and the same is true of him with regards to tyres. So let's see what Verstappen can do. Out of the final corner, out across the line, and it is a 35.0. 3 that he managed in Q2, but Leclerc is going quicker, as is Lewis Hamilton after the first sector. In fact, Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton.
All right, mate, that's a very decent lap on you.
There's a chunk of there. The rest of his lap was decent, similar to Leclerc through the middle sector, quicker than Sainz. Sainz a take down. Perez slower than both of them by the 2 Ferraris at the moment. And Hamilton's the fastest through the middle sector.
Leclerc through the final corner of the Andretti, out in front of the commentary box and across, and it's a 34.6, more than quicker than Verstappen, and it's only 3/10 that Verstappen lost in the place. Hamilton's fastest. He's about to come to the final corner. Charles Leclerc. What is Hamilton across the line? Third for Hamilton, ahead of Max Verstappen. In qualifying, pole, even though so therefore Sainz would basically be on Hamilton.
Completely
Out, and he's done a first sector that's okay. His second sector is 3/10 away from Hamilton.
Missing a bit of pace on this lap, George Russell. Coming through the quadruple right-hander. He's seen a few tenths compared to Hamilton all weekend, and it doesn't look like it now. But the Ferrari quick in the final sector, that's actually where they both made the pace up compared to Lewis Hamilton. Through the first 2/3 of the lap, Russell crosses the line, and he's 7/10 down on Leclerc, 6th place.
Look, we'll wait and see what Russell's got in his second. Speaking, bad weekend for Russell. I'd almost feels like one of his worst of the season. In the second run in Q3, don't get me wrong.
Well, look, Russell, excuse me, is closer to Hamilton than anybody's been since Fernando Alonso. He's half a tenth off Hamilton on average over the season, but the trend is very much in Hamilton's favour. He's been faster in the last 5 qualifying sessions.
I feel like Russell's season is petering out.
Yep, I guess turn 11 is the corner, right?
Yes, confirm.
How much there?
10.5.
Copy. I'll finally make it, I guess. I hope in the last lap.
I am sure.
Things at Mercedes to try and understand the poor performance of their car. And it seemed like Hamilton was doing the brunt of the work with that, whilst Russell was trying to bed himself in with the team. And once Lewis shifted to just thinking, let's not mess around the whole time, let's just try and work normally with what we have, he has been more consistently ahead of Russell in terms of pace, and he's been unlucky at times as well. He's made a few errors. The Spa one where he took himself out from a good chance there wasn't great, but overall I do feel like he's established himself again as the team leader there.
Yeah, he's been unlucky with the safety car a couple of times. It happened to him in
Copy. Yeah, we lost a tenth from that, I think. So if you take that off, we're still in the place relative to Norris, Alonso.
Hamilton's definitely the slightly better Mercedes driver this year, even though Russell's probably going to end up ahead in the championship because of that bad luck. But let's not diminish the quality of the job that Russell has done. He's been, as I said to you a minute ago, he's Hamilton's closest rival, Fernando Alonso, as a teammate, and he's not as close as Alonso was. So that's really wrong season for Russell.
Oh yeah, it's still been an absolute true season, hasn't it? It's still established him as a star of the future and the man to lead Mercedes in time. And this time last year he was in a Williams and we had not really a big clue what he could do. The one-off in Sakir, but there were so many oddities about that weekend. He's done a great job. It's just that Hamilton has asserted probably that #1 status back, which was very much, it was the big debate in the first part of the season. Is Hamilton sort of on his way out in the bigger picture of it? Is the new wave coming through? Hamilton's done a good job pace-wise to get it back.
3 minutes and 22 seconds on the clock. Verstappen is already out. He's gone out very, very early. The Ferraris are still in the pit lane. Jenny.
Yeah, I'm just about to get squashed by a barrier, and now I don't know what to do. I'll go forward. That'll be fine. I think who was it that was just going out? The Mercedes. I got slightly distracted by a man trying to lower a barrier. But just when Hamilton came across the line there, okay, he might have only been in third position. The crowd in the grandstand, absolutely delirious. I mean, it was like he'd got pole. It was amazing.
Yeah, very popular in the States, Hamilton. Less than 3 minutes to go. The provisional order at the moment. Well, it is the order, but the provisional grid. Except it wouldn't be because Leclerc's got a grid penalty. But it is Leclerc quickest, Sainz second, Hamilton third, Verstappen fourth, Perez fifth.
That was fun. Yeah, it looked good. Very tidy last sector.
To be best of the rest.
Verstappen went out early, but he's trundling across the line and he's using it as just a prep lap. I think that first lap to get the tyres in. So maybe he's still trundling actually. Has he got he's got an issue? No, he's building up a bit of speed in the first sector again. So I think maybe that says he wasn't happy with his tyre warm-up, and maybe that explains his lousy first sector on that run. Without that, his other sectors were very close.
Can't remember the last time that we've had someone's done an out prep and then a push in a Q3. Maybe he's got enough fuel for this. Singapore, maybe that's why he's going really slowly, because he wants to do a prep lap. Huge.
They'll plan what they're doing now. Supporting, I am sure. Pace of the Ferrari, 10.5 up on his teammate, but Leclerc takes Perez takes 5. This is Sainz on right now from Hamilton, who's great opportunity for Sainz
at a race that's won from outside.
Well, it's Sainz or Hamilton at this rate.
Yeah.
Will change.
Is out of the and along started Leclerc his left-hand wing mirror Ferrari as he turns through the
Back 2, you could
for the Ferrari now means that it's currently Sainz who would take pole position for the United States Grand Prix. 15 seconds on the clock. Perez was the fastest first sector of anybody in the Red Bull. Leclerc and Sainz about to come through the first sector. Verstappen starts his flying lap now. He will be the penultimate front runner across the line. Then it will be Hamilton. So Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Verstappen, Hamilton across the line. Sainz does a quick sector 1 as well, and Leclerc is quicker, and they're both quicker than Sergio Perez. They're both 2/10 quicker than George Russell in sector 1. Leclerc's coming down the back straight now.
The Ferraris are rapid through the first sector. Verstappen's made within a tenth of 2 Ferraris. Hamilton, not so much. Hamilton's a
Yeah, baby.
not improved, so it's the Leclerc Ferrari fractionally ahead of the Sainz Ferrari, and Verstappen's Red Bull in a 10th through the first sector.
Hamilton's done. Hamilton's had a terrible first sector, 25.8. So he's 3/10 down on Leclerc in sector 1 alone. So he might even have bailed out of this lap. So I don't know what's happened there to Lewis Hamilton in the first sector. Norris goes up into 8th place, doesn't manage to beat Lance Stroll. But it is Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc, all improving. Perez goes second in the Red Bull. He too has a grid penalty, but he won't be starting on pole position. Through the final corner comes Charles Leclerc, has a little bit of a slide and goes quickest, but he has a grid drop. What can Sainz and Verstappen do? It's not looking great for Sainz. Here he comes across the line, but he gets there. Gets ahead of Leclerc. He's on the original pole, but Verstappen now is coming into the final 2 corners, where traditionally the Red Bull is strong, gets on the power, drives towards the line, and it's...
It is a good job today getting back into Q3. It had been too long. It's nice to be back.
Yeah, got me that. It's a buzz tomorrow.
And in terms of penalties on the grid tomorrow, we have Alonso, Leclerc, who should go behind us. And also we believe that Stroll went off track on his fastest lap, so we may get that position as well. Okay.
Who, broadly speaking, over the course of this year, has been beaten by his teammate Leclerc. Not today.
P1, baby. Good job. I knew it was coming, guys. I knew it.
He knew it was coming, did Carlos Sainz, and a really strong lap with Silverstone qualifying wet.
Yeah.
So this is his first true, dry, proper pole position.
He's a man that's got so much better as the season's gone on. Started with a few spins, not comfortable in that Ferrari car, and he has been closer to Leclerc, even if Leclerc, I would still say...
So P2, P1 is Sainz.
Yeah. That was a...
Who's actually on pole, because Sainz doesn't have a penalty. Fastest man will start from the front tomorrow.
Yeah, but does he get the pole for Spa? But anyway.
So P2, P1 is Sainz.
Yeah. That was a...
Leclerc's annoyed.
Hey, he's not happy with that lap that he did. He didn't find a huge chunk, Leclerc. They were neck and neck through the first sector. I wonder if Leclerc made a slight mistake in the final sector, and that's where Sainz made up the time on him. Sainz with the fastest final sector of anyone. I think Leclerc's maybe made a little mistake, which has allowed Sainz to just pip in there.
Because again, it didn't look like Sainz was necessary.
Okay, Liz, so that's P5, 6/10 to Sainz P1. So final Leclerc, then Verstappen, Perez, George P6, then Stroll, Norris, Alonso.
Like the low speed, I was running out of tires.
Yeah, we try something.
But it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, the cut's most important.
Verstappen's chat on the radio.
What a job from Ferrari, though. 1-2.
Yeah.
They've both beaten Max Verstappen in this one. Within a couple of tenths of Verstappen is a good effort as well. Red Bull 3-4. Hamilton didn't improve, still stayed quicker than Russell, but only by 400ths in the end, with a late improvement from George. Stroll, great effort from Stroll in 7th as well. Best of the rest in the Aston Martin. It's a shame for Ferrari, though, that Leclerc has that 10-place grid penalty.
Yeah. Shame for the race, actually, to be honest, but...
Hey, it's just tight as always.
Yeah, super tight, yeah. You managed nicely this time.
This time it's Carlos Sainz that will start at the front of the grid. Has there been there must have been a season before where only 2 teams have won a race. I don't know when off the top of my head, but that can't be a new record that would happen here.
Wasn't there a season where the McLaren won every race?
Won 1988. Yeah, of course. So that was won by Ferrari actually. I think Hardberg and Michele Alboreto won too. Anyway, it has happened before, even if it does happen again. Sainz on pole position then. It's been coming, he said, on the Charles Leclerc second, Verstappen third, Perez Hamilton fifth, Russell sixth, Stroll seventh. Really good job from the Aston Martin man, Stroll today. Eighth for Norris, ninth for Alonso, 10th for Valtteri Bottas. But we will now hear from the top three after qualifying. Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. Even though Leclerc won't start there, it will be the front row of the grid for Verstappen tomorrow. But Carlos Sainz secures pole position for the United States Grand Prix after a really impressive lap. Leclerc frustrated, but we will start by hearing from Max Verstappen, who will be on the front row of the grid tomorrow. The current world champion is speaking to Danica Patrick down on the grid in Austin. He'll be second on the grid, this Grand Prix.
Hi, Max. It's been a very emotional day for the whole team at Red Bull to lose Dietrich. Tell me how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been hard news, I think, for everyone. I think what he has meant for, of course, Red Bull, but also for the sport, and especially also for me, what he has done for me in general, my career so far, and in general, my life, you know, it's, yeah, really tough. It's a very tough day, and yeah, we tried to, of course, give it everything today in qualifying. Unfortunately, we missed out by a little bit, but there's still a race ahead, of course, and yeah, we're going to try to make him proud tomorrow.
What's it going to take to win from the second row? Everybody that's won here has won from the first row, with obviously how big this would be to get your 13th win in the season, and also with the news today. To win tomorrow, what are you going to have to do?
Well, I think our car normally in the race is a bit stronger than qualifying, and I think already today in qualifying was very fine margins. If you could switch the tires on a bit better, I think you know, that would have made a difference. But nonetheless, you know, we are there, and I'm expecting a good race tomorrow.
Okay, good luck. Charles, tell me about that lap. This is a tricky track. There's fast, there's slow stuff. How hard is it to put one whole lap together, and is there something out there that could have been different that would have set you up?
We are in P10. But it was a good job today getting back into Q3. It had been too long. It's nice to be back.
Yeah, confident. It's close tomorrow. I'll be starting a bit further back because of the penalty, but the goal is to try and come back at the front as quickly as possible.
This is a sad day for everyone with the loss of Dietrich today. Tell me about what it means to have someone like that in the sport that believes in racing and everything that we love so much, to lose someone like that.
It is incredibly sad, but apart from everything that he has done in his career, which is incredible, he's a human being, and it is a really sad loss for motorsport. So yeah, all my thoughts goes to their family and friends.
How much are you thinking about winning the race tomorrow versus the championship? Is there anything that you plan to do different? Are you going to be careful in any way because the championship is so close for second place?
Yeah, I'll give my best. As always, again, we are starting, I think, 12th or 11th with the engine penalty that we have. So, yeah, I'll give my best. No crazy risks, but